Hi guys and welcome to 𝗵cie𝗹𝗶𝗆. Today we are in my flat. I'm back from my holidays and yes, set this up here with my little mic and my camera. So let's get on to the topic. And my friend suggested today that we talk about the path to least resistance. Things that aren't working in our lives and how sometimes we are so aware of what's happening and yet we still make the choices that do not serve us. So yes, this is really interesting for me as well because I'm here to talk about these things. I'm here to teach, I'm here to coach and mentor about mindset and about how we can improve our lives. And then yet I notice, because I do all the mindset work, because I do all the personal growth, I still get stuck in my own mind and my own negativity. And this is interesting because I guess a lot of people don't know, how to improve their lives. And then there are the people who, similar to me, read all the books they can, watch, all the content they can, listen to all the podcasts. Yeah, those are people outside. Anyway, you might hear people. It's okay. And yeah, so I do all these things and yet I still feel like sometimes I'm not moving forward. And it comes down to obviously applying some of these tools and working with your mindset. But sometimes we get caught up in our minds, right? The more we actually learn about mindset, the more we learn about all these things, we get so good at lying to ourselves. We get so good at reasoning ourselves out or giving reasons to why we do certain things. And so the path to least resistance is we can work on ourselves. But it's also really cool that other people can reflect back to us what we are going through. Because really, the whole world is a reflection, as I say always, a reflection of what is happening within ourselves. So if there's something not working out in your life, then it is probably a belief that you have within yourself. And a big one that I see a lot or recently is this whole money beliefs. It's like we're always constantly looking at not having enough, and so when we focus on not having enough, we're creating more of that in our life. So it's almost like we're chasing something but we don't believe we can reach it. And so I always give the pencil. I don't have a pencil right now, but let's use my phone. So if this is money and this is something we want to go for, thinking we can't achieve it, or even saying we're almost there, it's like we create this gap in between. And so we keep moving towards it, but we're not actually reaching it because of that gap. So we need to close that gap. And that is the path to least resistance, because we're creating resistance here. And so resistance comes from, there's loads of reasons for why resistance show up. There's some kind of fear, right, around it. It's not just the fear of feeling like we can't achieve it, but it could be a fear of letting something go. Sometimes we're going after something we don't want and we have a fear of letting go because we're either missing out or other people in our life will look badly at us. And then it kind of boils down always to the fear of not being good enough, or that we won't be accepted. We are not good enough to do anything. So it always boils down to not feeling good enough. So how can we bridge that gap of least resistance and we keep pushing towards things that we want? And it's almost like it feels like it's a push. And I'm just thinking about my own life, about the resistance I'm creating in myself. There are certain situations where I feel like I am putting a lot of resistance, and sometimes and mostly it is because our survival mechanism is trying to keep us safe. So let's say I'm thinking of a specific scenario in my life where, I feel rejected, right? So when I feel rejected, I start putting up a wall, right? I start kind of distancing myself and not wanting to get hurt. But what's interesting is that I am getting hurt by not being myself. And I realized recently is like there's something I want to do, right? There's something I get so excited to do, and then I pull myself back because I'm thinking of what another person will think about the situation, right? And when I think about what other people are thinking, I'm creating resistance within myself because I'm stopping myself from living my truth, and it's painful. And it's such a big topic, resistance. So the path to least resistance is allowing and acknowledging. And I think I was actually teaching some people or mentoring some people specifically in the film industry, and we're talking about like going into, wanting to be in the industry, but feeling like, there aren't anything out there aren't any jobs in my area and things like that. And we create resistance in not, because we believe that we're creating resistance towards the thing that we actually want, because the world is a reflection of our thoughts, as I said. So what I do with them is I go through this whole like unintentional model / intentional model. So what we do is we go through what is blocking us first. Because if we cannot acknowledge where we are at right now, we cannot move forward. Because there will always be resistance. Because when we're pushing through something that we do not like, we are creating more stress for ourselves. When we are trying to make anything happen from a place of stress and like needing something or, wanting to have that thing, we are actually creating resistance within us because there's a belief of lack, a belief that we cannot achieve that thing. And so what's really important is writing down your thoughts and your feeling and what actions you're taking from that thought. Because everything in life is neutral, right? I'll say again, everything in life is neutral, which means that everything in life, things happen, right? There's situations, circumstances, but it is our own interpretation that shapes the way we react. It shapes the way we interact with the world. So if you have something that happens that you did not want, and you make that mean that you're not good enough, that this shouldn't have happened, you're creating resistance because you're not acknowledging where you are at. You're not acknowledging the situation. So if you cannot see the pain you are putting onto yourself, then you cannot move forward because you are moving from the place of pain. And it's hard when you are stuck in that cycle, right? As I said before, if I'm thinking I'm being rejected, then I'm creating more scenarios for myself where I am rejected. So I start distancing myself because I don't want to get hurt. So I'm like, in the sense, I'm making an excuse, right? I'm pretending, if I just focus on myself and if I just like do my own routine, then I'll be so much more happier because I'll be doing what I love. But then actually I'm distancing myself from the problem, right? So I'm actually avoiding the problem. And so if we have something we do not like and we put meaning onto it that this is something we want to avoid, then we are creating resistance. Because when we avoid something, we come up with reasons for why it is so, and we look for proof in the world that this is true, that our thought is true. Not every thought will become, a manifestation. It won't become a thing. Thoughts come and go, but the more we put that pain in that thought, the more we think that thought, the more we feel that pain, the more we're creating resistance. So if we are avoiding, we are creating resistance. If we are blaming ourselves, we are creating resistance. When we judge others and a situation, we are creating resistance. So the key to stopping resistance, or the path to least resistance, is acknowledging where we are at. And that's why I like to write it down. I like to write it down because one of my mentors told me that, because I'm like, oh yeah, I do this mindset all the time, I don't have to write it down. I've got it all in my head, right? But actually, if you write it down, you're in a way confessing where you are. So if you confess, or if you / acknowledge yourself, you see the problem, you see your actions, you see your thoughts, you see you. And when you see you see your truth. You step into your higher self. So do not judge yourself for having made mistakes. Do not judge yourself for distancing yourself from others because you feel rejected. Do not blame yourself for anything. It is simply an observation and a rediscovery of yourself. This is called shadow work. It is when you're literally imagine yourself in a room and there are loads of things in your room, but you can't see them unless you take the torch and you put the light on it. When you shed light onto that thing, and that thing represents a thought, for example, that you have not noticed before because you've been automatically acting upon it all the time. So when we do the shadow work, when we look and observe what we have been doing and acknowledge us in our fullest, being, when we accept our whole self, then, only then, are we allowed to release the emotions and the thoughts and what we have been doing as a behavior from a place of survival mechanism. Because if we cannot see what we're doing, we cannot change it. So if we do not acknowledge the resistance and where it comes from, why we're doing it, we cannot move forward. Because there's no point making an intentional model or creating, life goals or things you would like in your life if you cannot accept where you are at right now. Because it's almost like saying, oh, there's never been a problem, I'm happy. That's toxic positivity, right? So we don't want to just put it underneath the rug, all the thoughts, negative thoughts that we've been having in our life. So the path to least resistance is, first of all, to acknowledge yourself. And when we're starting out, self-awareness is difficult because we're on automatic pilot, and sometimes we miss these things, and it is a journey, a practice. So I want to encourage you guys to become more self-aware so you can find your path to least resistance. So thank you guys for listening to me today. I am loving this new space. I'm loving my setup, and I'm loving you guys and how you guys are looking within and rediscovering yourselves. So if you want to engage with me more, find me on Instagram and let's have a chat. Have a great day, guys. Love you.